Tim, I'm delighted to have you here with us in New York briefly, and it's taken us a while to get here, hasn't it? But you're in New York doing tons of stuff, of course talking about Pandora, which is what we're here to talk about. So how do you describe Pandora?
I'm still struggling for a way to say it quickly, but the short description is it's a personalized radio service that allows people to create radio stations based on songs or artists they like, and it relies on this music genome project, musical taxonomy, to do that.
So how does that work? Because for anyone who's ever played around on Pandora, you kind of sit there and think, this is pretty clever, what's going on here. So can you give us a little bit of the behind the scenes?
Sure. So if you came to our offices on a given day, you'd see tables full of musicians with headphones on, listening to music and analyzing each song along close to 400 musical attributes per song.
400 per
400,
song.
right. So these are all the sort of very basic building blocks of songs. So every detail of melody and harmony and rhythm and form and instrumentation and the vocal performance, and really collectively all the things that give a song its sound. And so they describe these songs in great detail, so when you're done you kind of have a musical fingerprint of the song. When you go to Pandora as a listener and you type in a song to launch a station, what happens is we look at that song's musical DNA, those attributes, and go looking for other musical neighbors from a collection that's now a little over 500,000 songs.
So if you had some top tips for people on how to really get the most out of Pandora, what would you say?
Okay, so kind of the basics of how to optimize it. When you use your thumbs, you should favor thumbs down over thumbs up. A thumbs up over time, if you do too many, will tend to kind of wash out the station definition. Whereas thumbs down, which is kind of trimming stuff, is really a better way to kind of get what you want.
Are you personally going out and buying those records? How does that work?
We do that. We probably purchased about half of the music that we own. We have about 43,000 artists represented in Pandora. But we also get a lot of music sent to us increasingly, so artists are sending stuff in. Both,
and that's independent artists as well as...
Absolutely. 70% of the music we own comes from artists who are not on a major label, so the independent community.
Now, you mentioned that you have a background in music. So this was something that you wanted to do personally because you were frustrated with the choice of music available online? Was it to do with the problems with streaming music and getting music for free? Where was sort of the crux of the idea? How did that come about?
Well, it started because I was frustrated with how difficult it was as a musician to find an audience.
Okay.
And I spent many years in and around the independent music community, and so I'm pretty well aware of how much great music exists, very little of which actually finds its way into the public consciousness. And so my sort of original inspiration for it was to try to solve that problem.
Where do you want the company to go?
Well, we have pretty grand plans now, you know. The huge difference between broadcast radio and internet radio is that it's a two-way street. Internet radio is a conversation, so you can actually talk back to the service. You can curate it as you do. And we can deliver not just one station for 1 million people, but 10 million stations for 1 million people. And each person can kind of have their personalized experience. And that's a radical departure from what broadcast has been before. And I think the implications for that are, of course, a listener is going to be much more satisfied and be hearing what they want to hear. But it also allows us to put a much broader collection of artists into the funnel. You know, so we have a little over 500,000 songs, and 95% of them play every day on different stations.
That's really impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that to me is really the key to a healthy long-term music industry, and it's been sort of hobbled by its inability to surface the music that's kind of invisible. And so, you know, for musicians it's hard, and for listeners they get fatigued by the same stuff over and over again. And internet radio could really break that cycle.